Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today's story is one that will make you think twice about trust and secrets in a marriage. It's about a woman who found something in her husband's secret diary that changed everything. She's wondering whether she should tell him what she found. You don't want to miss this. Stick around, and let's dive into the story. It all started on an ordinary day when I was cleaning the house. My name is Sarah, and I've been married to Mark for 3 years. We have a pretty good life together. We're happy, we laugh, and we enjoy our time. But like any couple, we have our ups and downs. Nothing unusual, just the little things that happen in every marriage. We always make up, and it's never been a problem. But one day, as I was tidying up our bedroom, I found something I wasn't expecting to see. It was under a pile of old boxes and hidden away in the back corner of the closet. A small, leather-bound notebook. It was worn, and I could tell it had been there for a long time. It didn't belong to me. I knew right away it was his. He's always kept his personal thoughts to himself, never sharing much with anyone, not even me sometimes. It's part of who he is. But I had no idea he was keeping a journal. As I stared at it, I felt a rush of emotions. Curiosity. Anxiety. Confusion. I didn't know why, but I felt this strong urge to open it. I tried to push the thought away. I told myself it was wrong to invade his privacy. But I just couldn't stop myself. I opened the first page, and at first, it was nothing unusual. Just random thoughts about his day, his work, and our life together. Everything seemed normal at first. But then, I kept reading, and that's when things took a turn. On one of the pages, I saw that he was talking about feeling disconnected from me. He said he wasn't sure if he still felt the same way he did when we first got together, and that he had been struggling with his emotions for a long time. It was like a punch in the gut. I thought everything was fine between us. We always laughed together, shared our dreams, and made plans for the future. But now, here it was written in his own words, that he wasn't sure if we were really happy. I sat there in silence for a few moments, the notebook still in my hands. My heart was racing. I felt this overwhelming mix of emotions, hurt, confusion, and, honestly, a little anger. How could he have kept this from me? I thought we shared everything. We were always so open with each other. Or so I thought. I closed the notebook, trying to push the thoughts out of my head, but it was like the words were stuck in my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about what I had just read. He was feeling distant. He was questioning everything we had built together. It wasn't just a passing thought, it felt like he had been holding this inside for a long time. I tried to brush it off. Maybe it was just one of those moments where he was overwhelmed by work or life, and he was just venting to himself. But deep down, I knew that wasn't it. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that this wasn't just a simple feeling of doubt. He was unhappy, and I had no idea. I had no clue that he was struggling in silence. I thought I was doing everything right as a wife, being supportive, caring, always trying to make him feel loved and appreciated. I thought everything was perfect. But here I was, holding his diary, filled with thoughts of uncertainty about me. I felt betrayed. Not in the way you might expect, but in a quiet, deep kind of way. I wasn't angry at him, at least, not yet. But I couldn't understand why he had never said anything. Why had he kept these feelings hidden? If he had told me, we could have worked through it together. Instead, I was left to discover it on my own, in the most painful way. I wasn't sure what to do with the information I had just uncovered. I wanted to confront him, to ask him about it, but I didn't know if I was ready for the truth. What if it was worse than I thought? What if he didn't want to be with me anymore? What if everything I thought we had wasn't real? I wasn't sure if I was prepared to face those answers, but at the same time, I couldn't just ignore it. The more I thought about it, the harder it became to keep the secret to myself. But was I ready to have this conversation? Could I handle what was coming next? I couldn't shake the thoughts from my mind. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those words, his doubts, his questions, his unspoken feelings. It was like a weight on my chest, and no matter what I did, I couldn't escape it. I couldn't stop thinking about the notebook, and I couldn't stop thinking about what I had read. But there was more. As I flipped through more pages of the diary, I found something that made my heart stop. There, on one of the later pages, was a memory he had written about his ex-girlfriend. He had been with her for years before we met, and they had broken up when he moved on with me. At least, that's what I thought. According to his diary, he still thought about her sometimes. He still wondered what could have been, and he still missed the life they had together. I wasn't expecting this. I never thought that, after everything we had been through, he would still be carrying feelings for her. I felt a stab of jealousy, even though I knew it wasn't rational. He was with me now. We had built a life together. But the words in that diary made me question everything. Did he truly love me, or was I just someone to fill the void she had left behind? He said that he loved me, but he had said the same thing about her. And now, reading these entries, it seemed like he had never fully let her go. It was hard to admit, but I was hurt. I thought we were beyond these doubts. We had built something real, something solid. But reading these words, I wasn't so sure anymore. The worst part was that I couldn't even talk to him about it yet. How could I? I wasn't sure what I was supposed to say. I didn't know how to bring up these feelings without sounding like I was accusing him of something. I didn't want to destroy the relationship we had, but the more I read, the more I realized that maybe the foundation of our marriage wasn't as strong as I had thought. I had always been open and honest with him, but here he was, hiding his feelings in a notebook. It felt like a betrayal, like a secret I wasn't supposed to know, but I did. I sat there for what felt like hours, reading his words, questioning everything, and wondering what I should do next. Could I confront him about this? Could I face the truth? I sat there in silence, holding the notebook in my hands. My heart was beating fast. I didn't know what to do. I thought about throwing the notebook away and pretending I never found it, but I knew I couldn't do that. What I read was important, and I couldn't just ignore it. I had to decide whether to tell Mark what I found or keep it to myself. If I told him, things could change between us. But if I didn't say anything, I would always wonder if I was hiding something from him. I looked at the notebook, and my mind raced. How could I talk to him about this? How could I tell him that I found out he wasn't sure about our relationship? What if he told me he didn't love me anymore? The thought of hearing that made my stomach twist. I wasn't sure if I was ready to hear the truth. I didn't want things to get worse between us, but I knew deep down that I couldn't keep this secret. I remembered the good times we had. We laughed, we had fun, and we talked about our future. I thought everything was perfect. But now, after reading his words, I wasn't so sure. I felt like I was living in a lie. Maybe he had been feeling this way for a long time, and I never knew. I loved him so much, but I didn't know how to fix this. I couldn't pretend it didn't matter. It did matter. It mattered to me, and I had to do something about it. So, I had a choice. I could keep this to myself and try to forget about it, or I could talk to him. I could try to tell him what I found and hope he would understand. But how would he react? Would he be upset? Would he tell me that everything I read was true? I didn't know if I was strong enough to face that, but I knew I had to talk to him. I couldn't live with this secret anymore. The next day, I woke up with a heavy heart. I knew I couldn't avoid it any longer. I had to talk to Mark. But I didn't know where to start. I felt nervous and scared. What if he was angry with me for reading his diary? What if he didn't want to talk about it? I tried to prepare myself for the worst, but I still didn't know how to bring it up. Later that afternoon, Mark came home from work. He seemed tired but happy, like always. I could tell he didn't suspect anything was wrong. I wanted to wait for the right moment, but there never seemed to be a perfect time. Finally, I decided to just do it. I asked him if we could talk. He looked at me, confused, but said sure. We sat down on the couch, and I felt my hands shaking. I didn't know how to say it, but I had to. Mark, I started, I found something while I was cleaning yesterday. It's your diary. I read some things in it, and I need to talk to you about it. He looked surprised and a little worried. You read my diary? He asked, his voice soft. I nodded. I know I shouldn't have, but I did. And there are things in it that I don't understand. Mark was quiet for a moment. His face turned serious. What did you read? I took a deep breath. I read that you've been feeling distant. You've been unsure about our relationship, and that you still think about your ex sometimes. You even said that you miss her. I watched his face closely, waiting for his reaction. He seemed shocked, like he wasn't expecting me to know. But then his eyes softened, and I saw a hint of guilt on his face. I didn't want you to find out this way, he said quietly. I should have told you. I felt a mix of relief and sadness. At least he was being honest now. But the words still hurt. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you share this with me before? Mark took a deep breath. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't want to make things worse between us. I felt my heart sink. But it's already bad. I found out by accident, and now I feel like everything's changed. I don't know if I can trust you anymore. Mark stayed silent for a moment, looking down at the floor. I could tell he was thinking, trying to find the right words. His face looked tired, and I knew this wasn't easy for him either. But it didn't make me feel any less hurt. He had kept this secret for so long, and now I was just supposed to forget about it? I'm sorry, he said finally, his voice soft. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't want to carry this around, but I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to make you feel like I didn't love you. I could feel my emotions starting to mix. I was angry, sad, and confused all at once. But you didn't tell me, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. You kept it inside. You kept these feelings about me and your ex hidden from me. How am I supposed to move forward from this? Mark looked up at me, his eyes filled with regret. I know. I've messed up, and I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you, but I think I've been holding on to things from my past for too long. I should have talked to you about it, but I didn't. I've been scared that if I told you the truth, you'd leave me. I shook my head, my heart feeling heavy. I don't want to leave you. I just want the truth. I want to know that I can trust you. And right now, I don't know if I can. Mark took a step closer to me, reaching for my hand. I know I've hurt you, but I want to fix this. I don't want to lose you, Sarah. I don't want my past to ruin what we have. Please, give me a chance to prove it. I looked at him, trying to see if he truly meant it. Could I trust him again? Was this something we could work through together, or was it too late? I wasn't sure. But at that moment, I realized something. We both needed to face the truth and move forward, even if it was hard. We needed to decide whether our relationship was strong enough to handle this or if the cracks were already too deep to fix. I need time, I said softly. I can't promise anything right now. But I'm willing to try. We need to work on this, together. The next few days were tough. Mark and I tried to talk things through, but it was clear that we both needed time to process everything. I was still hurt, but I was also determined not to let this break us. I wanted to believe that we could rebuild the trust that had been shaken. Mark was doing his best to show me that he was committed to making things right. He apologized repeatedly, not just for keeping his feelings hidden, but for not being honest with me sooner. He made an effort to show that he valued our relationship, even if it meant being more open and vulnerable than he had been before. As the days went on, things started to feel a little better. We weren't exactly the same as we were before I found the diary, but we were learning to communicate more openly. It wasn't easy, and we both had moments of doubt, but we were trying. I knew I couldn't change the past, and neither could he, but I wanted to give us a chance. Mark made it clear that his past feelings for his ex were just that, his past. He promised to be more open with me moving forward, and I knew that I had to be open with him too, even if it was hard. We decided to leave the diary behind and focus on what we had right in front of us. It wasn't going to be perfect, and I didn't expect it to be. But I wanted to try. I wanted to work through it together. Our relationship wasn't defined by one mistake or one secret. It was about how we handled the challenges and how we grew together. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like we were on the path to doing that. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but sometimes relationships take work. The most important thing was that we both were willing to try. If you liked this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation. What would you do if you found something like this? Let me know in the comments below.